Yeah, I would agree. And what's cool is like, I feel grateful that I've come in at the time that I have. Like, I haven't experienced, too many terrible locker rooms or practicing in a D3.
Kate Martin just set the internet ablaze, and the WNBA critics are losing it. She boldly declared, "Yes, we're getting privileges." And no apologies, no backpedaling, just unshakable confidence. While traditional commentators are busy ranting about paying dues and hard work, Kate's out here embracing her WNBA perks like royalty, cool, composed, and completely unbothered.
For you, girl. Like,
That's good. You shouldn't have to.
And like, you know what? Like, I'm not gonna say sorry either. Like, I am thankful for that. Like,
Please don't.
all
You
right?
shouldn't say sorry.
But here's the thing also is like,
It wasn't your fault.
with the landscape of like how sports has changed and everything is like, people, like, we shouldn't feel sorry for like being in this space, and like we shouldn't feel sorry for like getting things that we deserve that people before us have been fighting for so long. So it's like, I feel grateful that I was born when I was born and I am here when I am.
Kate Martin just shut down every hater coming for Caitlin Clark and did it all with a smile. On Sue Bird's podcast, she made it crystal clear. No apologies here, and Caitlin's not sorry either. And why should she be? Caitlin Clark has transformed the game. If the WNBA is finally giving her the respect she's earned, then it's about time.
The landscape of like how sports has changed and everything is like, people, like, we shouldn't feel sorry for like being in this space, and like we shouldn't feel sorry for like getting things that we deserve that people before us have been fighting for so long. So it's like,
Let's be honest. The WNBA has been fighting for the spotlight for decades. Legends like Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and Tina Thompson were putting in work when barely anyone was watching, hooping in half-empty arenas, earning scraps, and hoping for a passing mention on ESPN. Now that the lead is finally catching fire, instead of celebrating the moment, some of the Uggs are throwing shade. But Kate Martin didn't flinch. She said it plain. "I'm not sorry that Caitlin and I are getting chances you didn't." And honestly, that's exactly the kind of unapologetic energy the game needs right now.
Her defense, and in the pros, when she got some minutes early, just her, her star and people that were really connecting with her. And she's just the greatest young woman. I'm biased. She's my spouse's biological niece, my niece, and she was 5. She'd stay with us. But she had a dream. She put our poster above her bed in her room, looked up at the Hawk poster. And, then she, got good enough to be recruited. And the story is, I loved her, but I removed myself, right? That I told Lisa, I go, you got to fly down and you got to check that, this kid's blue collar. And Lisa flew down and she was like, Dad, right?
Yesterday, speaking about Kate Martin, I'm here to tell you.
Why should she apologize for progress? Did LeBron ever say sorry because NBA players in the 60s had to work part-time jobs? Is Serena Williams out here apologizing because women's tennis used to be overlooked? No, because that's not how progress works. The game evolves, and Caitlin Clark is part of that evolution. Let's not pretend she hasn't earned every bit of what's coming her way. She's a walking highlight reel, pulling up from the logo like it's nothing. She's smashing records that have stood for decades. And let's be real, most people didn't start paying serious attention to women's college basketball until she showed up. That's not a knock. That's impact. It's okay to admit it.
People before us have been fighting for so long. So it's like, I feel grateful that I was born when I was born and I am here when I am. And so,
At the right time.
But like, it's the same thing with like Caitlin turning down the, 3-point shooting contest and things like that is like, come to the WNBA All-Star, like all of these things, like this is great for our sport, but it's also great to like intermix and like for us to be here and like everything Tip said is like, we have more sponsorships, we have more opportunities, and like it's really cool to be able to showcase all of that, but also let's showcase it at WNBA All-Star too.
People want to act like Caitlin Clark is only getting all this attention because she's white. Let's be clear, we're not about to pretend race doesn't play a role in media coverage. It absolutely does. But let's also be real. If Caitlin was 5'7", unathletic, and putting up mid-stats, nobody would care. She's getting the hype because she's a once-in-a-generation talent. Drop her in any era, and she'd still be cooking. And Kate Martin, she's been in the trenches with her. They went to war together at Iowa. So when Kate says, "I'm not sorry Caitlin is getting what she deserves," it's not just loyalty, it's truth. Meanwhile, some WNBA vets are out here throwing shade like it's a full-time job. Back in my day, we had to fly a commercial. Okay, and? Does that mean today's players should still suffer? That's like your grandpa saying, "I walked 10 miles to school in the snow." Cool story, Gramps. We've got Uber now. Times change. That's the point.
I would definitely say my goals, like my short-term goals, change year after year. Last year, my goal was to get drafted, and then my goal was to make the roster, and then my goal was, to stay on that team and then give it my best and be ready when my name was called. And so, then my goal in the off season was to work on specific things, and then goal in unrivaled, whatever it is. But my goal for this year, I would say, is just to continue to be confident and know I belong.
Caitlin Clark and this new wave of players are changing the WNBA for the better. Arenas are selling out, merch is flying, and ratings are breaking records. This is exactly what the legends before them fought for. But instead of celebrating the moment, some past players are caught in frustration. They want the respect they never got, and that's valid. But tearing down Caitlin Clark isn't the answer. Progress should be embraced, not resented. Kate Martin gets it. She knows you don't need to apologize for seizing opportunities. She's not here to shrink Caitlin's shine. She's here to keep the momentum going.
I think what Caitlin has done for not just college basketball, but for women's basketball, period, I think has been great. The following, people watching the game, sellouts that we haven't seen ever. It just really bothers me, though, when people just take bits and pieces of what they want to take and they don't listen to everything and you don't hear everything. It wasn't personal. One, it was my opinion on how I think she'll be at the next level, because I do remember me saying that Caitlin, to me, could be the best college shooter I've ever seen. When you put these expectations on these young women in college to go to the next level and be immediately dominant, and when that doesn't happen, then people come back and say, "Oh, she was a bust, she was a flop, she wasn't that good." Just let them do what they're doing in college, enjoy what they're doing in college, and let them become stars in the WNBA.
Honestly, it's hilarious watching Kate Martin shut down the critics. Some WNBA vets expected her to come on that podcast all humble like, "Yeah, we're so lucky. It's kind of unfair." No, she basically said, "Cry about it." And we love that energy. So yeah, give Caitlin Clark her flowers. Give Kate Martin hers too, because she's standing on business. The WNBA is finally getting the attention it's always deserved. And instead of arguing over who had it harder, maybe it's time we just enjoy the moment. Here's if this is only the beginning. The future of the league is about to be wild.
This is for everybody who's pretending like they don't understand why Caitlin Clark's getting all the attention when they just showed up to the WNBA discussion too. Let's start with the fact that the women's national championship game outrated the men's by millions. First time that's ever happened. Which is why TV networks already decided to televise almost all of the Indiana Fever games. And road opponents have changed arenas in order to accommodate demand. Because yesterday's price is not today's price. And that's the reason Clark was on SNL ahead of the WNBA draft. And the draft ratings were higher than the previous 6 years combined, with Fanatics reporting Clark's jersey sales were higher than they've ever seen.
Caitlin Clark is out here doing what legends only dreamed of, bringing eyes, money, and a whole lot of conversation to the WNBA. Her best friend, Kate Martin, sees it firsthand and couldn't be prouder. But while the young guns are reaping the rewards of this new wave, the Ogs of the game are side-eyeing the situation, wondering where all this attention was when they were putting in the work. Kate Martin? She's riding the Clark effect like an express train to the big leagues. Undrafted, but scooped up because, well, when your best friend is single-handedly filling arenas, you get a little extra shine. It's like rolling with the popular kid in school. You might not have done much, but somehow you still get invited to the VIP section. To be fair, Kate can hoop, but let's be real. The Caitlin Clark cosign, that's like winning the basketball lottery.
No one person means as much to their league, whatever league it is, as Caitlin Clark means to the WNBA. And no person has done more for their league than what Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA. When we look back on this, Caitlin Clark will be for the WNBA what Magic Johnson and Larry Bird were for the NBA. If this thing ever becomes as big as some people think it can become.
Meanwhile, Cheryl Swoops and the old guard are somewhere fuming. shaking their heads like disappointed mothers watching kids get rewarded for chores they had to do for free back in the day. Cheryl and her crew were out there playing elite-level basketball with barely a handshake, let alone a private jet. Now Caitlin's got charter flights, media love, and brand deals raining down on her. The veterans were just trying to get their checks to clear on time. Imagine being a legend, a pioneer, someone who put the lead on their back when nobody cared, and then waking up in 2024 to see rookies being treated like royalty. It's like spending years building a house, only to watch new owners waltz in, repaint the walls, and take all the credit. Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, and the rest didn't just crawl so today's players could walk. They sprinted through a minefield while getting paid in exposure. Good job. Here's your pat on the back.
That Iowa team is a big reason. Well, sorry. It's not a big reason why the Aces have their facility, and it's not a big reason why the Valkyries. But that Iowa team is a big reason for them damn charter flights. We can be honest here. It's a big reason for them charter flights.
And I think Kate was one of those players, the way she played and her humility, but also her grit and that little, glisten in her eye and that confidence. It just resonated, right? And you could see the glue, which she became. And then when she got that break to go to the pros, really good coaches know that there's a lot of things that happen with those glue kids. And to see her become a star on the WNBA level, although she was a role player, I loved everything about that story.